a model from Eastern Europe who was brought to the United States, who would attend these parties where the rich men would show up and mingle with the models. So in order to mock Donald Trump, so they show all these photos of Melania. By the way, Melania's previously made posts about how proud she is of her nudes, but right now, Russia, it's weaponizing Melania's past. I don't know if you know this, but on Russian TV, they frequently show Melania nude.
What if I told you Melania Trump's biggest meltdown wasn't over Donald's affair, but over a magazine cover? And not hers, Stormy Daniels. Today we're peeling back the glossy pages to show you why a Vogue profile cut deeper than any scandal, and how the Epstein files could rip away the very image Melania spent decades polishing.
Did you know that after Donald Trump and Melania met, she got what was called an Einstein visa? She was treated like a genius. And it's a policy that Donald Trump is blocking, and that Donald Trump would send people like that, I guess if their skin color was brown or black, to concentration camps in the Everglades called Alligator Alcatraz. Exceptional achievement visa that gave her a fast track to become a United States citizen. She then used her citizenship to bring in her family members.
Forget romance, this is brand warfare, and the incoming files could be the nuke she never saw coming. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
1997, he's out there partying with Epstein and Ghislaine. This is from the London Sunday Mirror. This is 1997. How sweet. Trump was before Melania. Okay, this is 1997. Trump 50, who has failed in his bid to secure the services of Princess Diana's butler, Paul Burrell, was in search of another British trophy when he's Brit of all right, just weeks after ditching his second wife. America's best-known billionaire, Donald Trump, has fallen under the spell of a 20-year-old English girl.
Ever wonder why Melania Trump seemed more rattled by a glossy magazine cover than an actual sex scandal tied to her husband? Back in 2018, Stormy Daniels popped up in Vogue. Full spread, high-fashion lighting, the whole serious cultural figure treatment. Not just a quick mention in some gossip mag. This was a slot usually reserved for women the fashion world wants to crown. And Melania had been there herself years earlier, back when the Trump brand was still shiny and she was the camera-ready ornament of that empire. So, for her, seeing Stormy in those pages was less about, oh, my husband's in trouble, and more about, wait a second, that's my spot. It's almost comical, but once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Melania has this uncanny ability to treat scandals like messy brand crises instead of personal betrayals.
And none of his would-be rivals owned a vast mansion in Florida like Donald does. Mar-a-Lago, where I have dined with him, the author writes, is enough to make any young girl go weak at the knees. He met London model Anuska DiGiorgio at a party in Manhattan. Several American millionaires already had their eyes on Anuska, but she was there with Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine, who has introduced several of her attractive friends to the property developer. After their meeting, Trump flew Madame Maxwell, they called her a madam, Madame Maxwell, and the model south to the Sunshine State, where all three enjoyed a happy weekend together.
If the headlines are about Donald, she slips into this ice-cold silence. But if the headlines start giving status or style points to someone else in her lane, suddenly, she's got shade to throw. Her public barbs at Vogue weren't just about an editorial choice. They came off more like a CEO annoyed that a competitor just launched a knockoff version of her product. She's been doing this for decades. When other political spouses talk through emotions or try to defend the love story, Melania plays keep away with her personal life and focuses on the visuals.
Melania, Donald Trump's dark past, it's resurfacing in ways it's his worst nightmare. So I think we should explore, how did Donald Trump meet Melania to mingle and find very young models from Eastern Europe? Models from Eastern Europe, and Melania was here. You see, Donald Trump went to a club in Manhattan called the Kit Kat Club, where there were parties that were frequently thrown for very rich Manhattan elites, businessmen.
Who's in the picture, who isn't, how the shot is framed, and whether she's positioned as the diamond in the middle or just another face in the crowd. It's like she's running her own PR firm, and her only client is herself. Her reaction to the Stormy cover makes even more sense if you rewind to her early years in New York. Melania didn't stumble into Trump Tower out of nowhere. She came from a hustle that was pure social positioning. The 1990s Manhattan scene wasn't just business deals happening over martinis. It was a full-blown ecosystem of clubs, galleries, and charity events where the right dress and the right photographer could open more doors than an MBA. And the Kit Kat Club was one of those proving grounds. A place where billionaires, models, and assorted entrepreneurs mingled like it was high school cafeteria politics, except the football team captains had private jets. That's the backdrop where Melania learned the rules. It wasn't about falling head over heels for some guy named Donald. It was about orbiting the power circles until someone with real reach pulled you in. And that someone, in her case, was Paolo Zampoli, a modeling agency figure who basically acted like a human LinkedIn connection request for the wealthy. He didn't just introduce Melania to Trump, he set up a social transaction. Glamour on one side, clout on the other. From there, Melania wasn't just dating a real estate mogul, she was anchoring herself to a platform that could amplify her image on a global scale. Which brings us back to why that Vogue cover in 2018 hit like a slap. If your entire public persona is built on being the elegant, untouchable one in high fashion pages, seeing someone tied to your husband's scandal suddenly get the same high fashion blessing isn't just a bad day, it's a potential downgrade to your own brand value. For Melania, it wasn't who Stormy was that mattered, it was where Stormy was. In her space. Getting the kind of coverage she'd carefully cultivated over decades. So when she iced out questions about Donald and focused her ire on Vogue, that wasn't some weird misdirection. That was the priority list in action. Marriage stuff? Background noise. Image control? High alert. Her moves make way more sense when you stop thinking of her as the wife and start seeing her as the brand manager of Melania. And now, the Epstein files are about to be dragged out again.
One of the photos the K-File found confirms that Epstein actually attended Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. And this is the proof. Again, this has never been published before, so this is a new image. You haven't seen it out there on X or anything like that. The revelations come as Trump is under fire from his own base for his Justice Department's handling of the so-called Epstein files. Trump has tried, of course, to distance himself from Epstein every which way. This is the proof that Epstein attended Trump's wedding at the Plaza Hotel in New York. And in the photo, what you see is Epstein entering the Plaza Hotel. The wedding date of this is December 20th, 1993.
We're talking about documents, names, and connections that could shine a spotlight on some of those early Manhattan years, the exact era where she was climbing the ladder in those elite circles. If those connections get tied back to people or places she's been avoiding in her public narrative, it's not just awkward questions for the former president. It's a potential crack-ass.